Good morning, traders and investors around the world. Welcome to this last Monday of March, March 28th edition of Pre-Market Prep Plus. Joel and joined by Brent Slava, head of Benzinga Pro news desk for his briefing with Brent segment here on this Monday morning. Let's run down the markets, get what's on Brent's calendar, and then we'll cover some tickers for you guys headed into this open. A little bit of a red open so far. S&P futures, they're down 275. Spent some time lower off the open, came back, took out Friday's high, but now just flirting with that close on Friday. So important to hold 36.50 to take out that pre-market high. Little concerns about crude with the lockdown in China, down 680, 107.12. Gold unable to hold the 1950 area. That's down $15 at 1939.20. Silver's in the red by 37 cents at 25.25. Bitcoin just inched its way up last week, and then the nice move over the weekend, up 6%. $2,840 at 47,495. And Ethereum futures, they're going the same way, a little bit more on a percentage basis, up $241 at 33.6850. Going to stop the screen share, bring in Mr. Slava. Mr. Slava, how was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. How about you, Joel? How was your vacation last week?
The good 3-day vacation was good.
Nice.
Got back in the
Nice.
groove. Tried a new sport over the weekend with Lisa and the girls.
Croquet.
Close.
Bocce ball?
Pickleball.
Pickleball. What's pickleball?
It's kind of like tennis for old people.
Got it.
Yeah. You don't
Is
have to
there
run it.
you have a
You don't.
local pickleball court,
Oh
Joel?
yeah. We took a course, and they're all over the place. It's fun. It's
Nice.
not as strenuous as tennis, and
I hear you.
yeah, but so market's climbing the wall of worry, right? This week and last week. We do have an important week on the economic data front, besides the
Yeah,
end of the quarter.
right.
You just highlight what investors should be just keeping an eye on out this week as far as economic data goes.
Yeah, well, you hinted at it, Joel. We're coming to the end of the month and we're actually coming to the end of the quarter here, right? Thursday is the last day in the first quarter, Friday, April 1st, start off our Q2, and just wanted to put a couple dates on your listeners' radar this week and then sort of like moving into May. Now, we'll look at a couple economic data points here. I'll give you a couple expected dates for a few notable companies that are going to be reporting in like the next month or so. But, I think you're also kind of hitting at it there, Joel. Are investors going to be really interested in economic data points? Are investors going to be really interested in earnings over the next month or two? Probably not. I think that, Russia, Ukraine is going to continue dominating the news cycle, right? I think that when we're kind of getting out of winter and we're actually in spring now and when we're kind of getting in toward summer, I think investors are also going to be looking at COVID cases, see if, getting out of the winter is doing anything to help COVID cases go down further than what they have. And then, I still think that investors are going to be looking at inflation over the next few months here. But later this week, Joel, on Wednesday, that's gonna be March 30th, we're gonna be getting our third and final reading for the end of the year last year, GDP, US GDP. That data point will be out at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday this week. On Friday, we're getting our first indication within the new quarter for the end of last quarter's jobs figures. Friday at 8 a.m., we'll be getting those non-farm private sector unemployment rate figures. On Wednesday, April 6th, so in a couple weeks here, we'll be getting the minutes from the last Fed meeting where we got our first rate hike. On Tuesday, April 12th, will be our first reading into inflation, CPI for March. That's going to be the expectations for about 8% growth in inflation figures here. The next day, our producer price index, that's the difference between consumer side, producer side, right? And then heads up, middle of April this year on Friday, April 15th, is the observation of Good Friday. So the stock market's gonna be closed on that Friday, Joel. And then our next Fed meeting is the first week in May. It's gonna be May 4th. Wednesday, May 4th is gonna be when we're gonna hear about our next likely interest rate hike, right, Joel?
Hmm. Yeah, unless they pull something in between. Okay. All
Seems
right.
unlikely though, right?
The interbank meeting, right? And
Yeah.
then the Q1 earnings season. Where's JP Morgan in there? Are
So
they
Joel, I'm glad you said something. Yeah, so JP Morgan's gonna be that first. Let me pull up my calendar real quick so I can give you a date. The big banks are gonna be the very middle week of April. And because we're gonna have that Friday, April 15th off, Joel, which is usually when the banks are going to be starting, I bet that they'll just move. And this quarter, I bet we're going to get all of our big bank earnings in the second to the last week of April. That's like April 18th, 19th, 20th, I bet.
Hmm.
Joel, I made a conscious decision to exclude the big banks from my list here. And I'm gonna, I'm gonna venture to say, I think that Netflix is now the unofficial start of the earnings season.
Uh-oh.
Oh, hot take, Joel.
Whoa.
What do you think about that?
Oh,
So that
what what
I'm doing
about
crazy things sometimes,
good
Joel.
friend, man? He's just taking his
Should
authority running the news desk.
should have warned
And you
you.
what about Klaus Kleinfeld?
What, Alcoa?
Yeah,
So I mean, yeah, Alcoa is going
that
to be the
used to
same week.
be.
I know it used to be. Yeah, Alcoa is going to be the same week as the big banks are going to be starting. So like April, what did I say? April 19th, April 18th, April 20th, something like that. Netflix is scheduled for April 19th right now. That is, I think, a Tuesday. Yep, that's
So when do you
Tuesday.
what's JP Morgan are they on the schedule yet?
None of these earnings are on the schedule yet. That's what I would preface with. I have a list and I want you to jot them down, folks, here to get them on your radar. But none of these have been formally confirmed by the companies yet. But keep in mind, when companies are reporting earnings, they're pretty darn like formulaic,
Right.
right?
I would
Like they
say
have like Netflix has reported the Tuesday, the third or fourth Tuesday in April for like the last 6 years or whatever. What were you
I
gonna
s-
say, Joel? I
I'll
would say,
say I'll fade you. I'll
okay,
say with no school, right? On
on that
the
Friday, the
I think
15th.
JP
Yep.
Morgan's going to go Thursday.
Okay, I like that call.
And
We
then
didn't
that
we didn't plan this, ladies and gentlemen. This is all off the cuff stuff right here. We got a good call here from Joel. Thursday, April 28th, that's going to be Apple. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the date. I think they always report on a Thursday in like the
Mhm.
last week of the month. Tesla, April 25th. I got on my radar for right now. AMD, Nvidia, AMD, April 26th. Nvidia is not all the way till the end of May, Joe, like around May
Little
25th.
later, yep.
Qualcomm, April 27th. Couple stay-at-home plays here for you. Peloton expected early May. Zoom's not expected till like after Memorial Day in the United States. Probably going to be like either very early in June, like the first couple days, or right at the end of May, like May 30th, May 31st, I think, because I think Memorial Day is the 30th this year.
Yeah, you should with the higher prices to see how that affects the retailers. But of course, they're not until later in the season.
Yep.
But yeah, that's gonna be an important earnings season. So just in the backdrop of that, uh, does the stuff really matter? With Russia,
Exactly.
Ukraine dominating the news cycle now on Friday. Gosh, go all the way back. There was a little missile strike at a Aramco facility,
Mhm.
and that hit the market. And then that brought the market down, but it couldn't keep it down. And then this rhetoric from Joe Biden over the weekend. I was texting Dennis and like say, hey man, you better duck. Joe's talking pretty tough there, and things really haven't, as far as the escalation. But you're right. I mean, you
Yeah.
can have these setups for the earnings, and you get
and
the news
econ.
cycle. Who knows where this is going? I mean, from
Yeah,
what you're seeing on all the, I mean, it just seems like a big stalemate, doesn't it? It
it seems
doesn't
like a
seem.
big, yeah, absolutely, Joel. And Joel and I have been messaging on like the end of days, a lot of days when the market's closing and going like, wow, what a close. Like bulls showing resiliency at the end of a day. And like, it's a few minutes before the close and we get over a huge level like 4,500 or whatever in the S&P 500 futures. And so the I like how you said it there, Joel, stalemate, and it's the opposite side that the market's looking at, or not necessarily the opposite, but the other end of the spectrum, I guess, is bulls have been hanging around, right? Bulls have not been phased a ton by what's been going on in Eastern Europe and some of this rhetoric from Biden, like you were kind of just highlighting, a little lower today, of course, but throughout all of this, the market has been just like surprisingly resilient, I think.
Yeah, if you just ask the market, right, everything's okay.
Yep,
Just like
and that
if
and that's the way to think about it too. Let's we can Joel can tell me what he thinks. Joel, you can ask me what I think about Ukraine, but we don't really need to because the market gives us the answer right away. Market is very, very efficient at pricing this stuff in, arguably. I'm one of the people that thinks that the market is really smart a lot of the time. So
oh yeah, definitely.
maybe if you're not one of those people, take my commentary with a grain of salt.
Okay. And we covered the COVID, we covered earnings. I mean, obviously with earnings season, strong stocks usually, tend to rally into their reports. A lot of people do play that. I mean, strong stocks, overall, and then that not even play them through the report. Just kind of get that alpha before the report. So that usually starts 5 to 7 days ahead of time. So if it's building a position, looking to do something in some of these earning stocks, that is a strategy, especially for like your Apple, your Tesla, your
Yeah.
AMD, your ones
I've
that
been really trying to like give people a warning on earnings as a catalyst to play like on the day of the report because I always say that, when you play earnings, you got to get a couple things right. You got to get the like prediction about the company reporting right. And then you got to get how the market's going to interpret it. It's becoming more and more common that a company has really good numbers, their guidance looked okay, and investors sell the stock or whatever. And so, just like you said there, Joel, I think, what's kind of been shaken out as far as playing earnings as a catalyst, use it as a catalyst, make sure that you know about it, but maybe play it before earnings, play it before they actually report heading into the report, or see how they do, see how the market reacts, and then play earnings as a catalyst after the company reports. I'm feeling like less and less favorable about investors taking a bet right before earnings and then saying that they're going to make a decision right as the earnings report hits. Seems like
yeah.
that is just, you know, giving you worse odds, I think, than if you
It
just play it heading into the earnings or right after the
And
earnings.
it's also like the guidance too. They come
I
out,
know.
they
Guidance is most important, right, Joel?
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
the
then
only
they give a
forward-looking
good
aspect.
report and then they kneecap you with guidance. So
Ah,
uh
they beat, and then here comes the guidance number, and their guidance is
yeah.
so high that stock's gonna sink for
And
sure.
also, and I wrote this up on Friday, and I don't know if we could see this. A stock like Neo was trading, had earnings, I believe, on Thursday, and
Yeah.
it was trading in the pre-market, right?
Yep. Yep.
And let me get the pre-market chart, and
Didn't it dip right away?
they had an analyst on from Deutsche Bank, and he was talking bullish about it. This was 2 hours ahead of the report.
Hmm.
Aggressive buyers 2 hours ahead of the Q4 report, right? And he was saying, I mean, I'm not picking on the guy or anything, but he was talking bullish, got the thing up like $2 or $3, and it was also coincided with some daily resistance. And do you see what happened when the actual report came out? There
Right.
was, horrible buys. So, all right, before I let you go, I got a few stocks here to cover. Inflation. You did mention we're going to get some numbers this week. will determine what the Fed does and the next move. So it seems like we're going to get a lot of different. We'll get a little bit of earnings, get a little bit inflation, get a little bit of GDP. I guess the GDP will indicate whether or not this inflation is having weighing on the overall economy and the growth in the
It's a
economy
really
and
good
the
way to think about
dreaded
it, Joel.
dreaded
Yeah.
stagflation. Okay,
Yep.
Brentster, good to see you.
Good to see you
Briefing
too.
with Brent this Monday. We got it back on the right track, and I'll check in with you later on.
All right, Joel. Have a good week. Good luck, everybody.
All right, here we are. We're down 475, 450. Nice range overnight. I think for people that are trading issues, big issues in the S&P. Watch that close from Friday. Not only in the S&P, but in the stocks that you're trading. Look at the close and the high and see how they trade in relation to that. Bill Big D in the chat this morning. He's going to be interested in Q1 earnings in April. And he's noting that Morgan Stanley likes ZS and CrowdStrike. So we're going to make this a 24-hour chart here. And we're going to look at these two issues. And we're going to see what the heck is going on for Bill Big D, the Alabama fan. And Zscaler, they like it. They haven't moved it yet. Bill, you know how simpleton I am. Look at this 231. I mean, let's get through 231. Is that where it is? No, wrong. I was looking at the wrong chart. 237. 237. Just got to get through it. Where you traded 230, 32. So you got to travel $7. You need to get out, you need to get there. That's what I'd be looking for. If they're talking bullish, it's this thing's going, then you got to rally $7. You got to take out that 237, 237 and a half and keep on going. But right now, that bullish talk is not working. And it looks like you might even be able to get it on the cheap here. 3 lows in the same area. Let's call it 225. So keep an eye, 225 holding on the downside. Breakout 337 and a half. That's what I'm looking at for you. CrowdStrike, I don't know, Bill, if you said you were peeling out of this one on Friday. I can't remember. But it was not a bad day. It kept going. It's keeping the winning streak going. We are battling with this high here. We had a high of 225.60. That was back in December. And you got right to that area today. You did get a red candle. So still respecting that area as resistance. Of course, if it takes it out, then you got another move higher. And that's what I'm looking at. Really, I'd like to see it get to 225. Who do I have? My Final Four is toasted. I did have Kansas and I don't know, Purdue. Also had Michigan, another pool. Not one of my good years in the in the tournament pools. I wish I could say it was different. We got a few minutes though. We got to rip through some stocks. Thoughts on the dip in oil today? Good time to buy Devon, BPXON. Well, you got the dip in oil. Who knows how long it will persist? Boom, boom. I'd be looking at the $60 area in Devon if I got a chance to get there in the pre-market. Hold 60. I'd play it pretty tight because you got a gap there. Turn it up. So it's down with oil, but not nearly as much as percentage. But try the $60 area. Just be aware that you got the gap fill. BP, British Petroleum, that's been climbing its way back down 87 cents. Getting back down here under 30. There's where you had to gap up, maybe a little bit lower risk trade. You get it at the 30 area. And you'd have to risk, you got to risk a little bit lower on this. Wait, where are these lows at? No, excuse me. 29.40, 29.50. That's, I think I'd be a little bit more interested in the downside. Trying to pick up BP. Also XOM. Now, I think I noticed that had a big old move yeah, it had a nice move last week. This one's interesting because it's just a classic pullback off the high and the rebound. So I'm going to have some good numbers here for you momentarily as soon as I get my retracement tool up. Boom, boom. Come on. Easy to do it in my head to get this thing. I'll give it one more shot. Boom. Nope, it's not working for me today. So instead, I will remove this. You guys don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm going to get rid of this retracement line here. And what did you get? You got to 91.5 all the way down to 76. So it's called a 16-point move. Half of that's 83. Right there, you get back to 85.49 yesterday. A couple highs above that. Now you're just hanging out. So for Exxon Mobil, I mean, if this is just gonna hold here, go back up and test 90, I expected to find some good support here in the 83 area, and you got two lows from Thursday and Friday right there. So 82.75, 82.79, and also 83. So three lows in the same area. You're opening into it. Let's see if you hold and turn your way back up for Exxon Mobil. Emily coming at me with the 3Ms, and I'm going to have to whip through these. First, I'll do Ford. Ford's been quiet. I think there's a wall at 17. Last I looked at Ford. Yeah, no, in the middle here, 16 to 17. Got to get to 17 to a nod. I just think you're going to meander in the 16 handle. Mickey D's, I haven't taken a look at in a long time. Mickey D's making a move. Nice move up. That nice consolidation at 235, 240. Now back in the 240 handle. So looks good to me. Maybe work our way closer to 245 here. Make sure you will stay green on the session. MMC is a strong stock, flat today, big winning streak. Look at how this area would be the one you really want to see it take out. You have I see room up here to 167.5, 168, all the highs in that area, ahead of that 175 area. So that's what I'm looking at. Upside and downside, and then Mr. Softy back over 300, 304. Oh, look at this. Three lows in the same area. You want to see that hold, and then four highs in the same area. So must hold 298. And that last week's high, 305.50. That was also your high on Tuesday. So looking for a big move there. Bust above 305.50. A breakdown, I'd say that would be below 298. All right, folks. Thank you. Thanks for joining me here. And let's get to the markets and be back with you later on.